Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Milo McCard. I'm a computer science student studying in Southern California, and today I want to talk about why I think you should consider limiting your use of social media and how to do it. In part 1 of the video, I'm going to be talking about the dangers, effects, and perceived pros of using social media. After that, I'm going to be talking about what you can do to limit your social media usage, or if you're feeling really bold, quit altogether. So if that intro made you somehow think that I'm anti-technology, I want to make the point that I'm definitely not. I'm a computer science student that thinks smartphones and computers are essential and fundamental technologies of the 21st century. I just don't feel the same way about social media. Of course, everyone you know is on a platform like Instagram or Facebook, which makes it feel like these platforms are really important, when in reality, they aren't. All they're doing is leveraging these important technologies in our current day. If you think you need social media to succeed or have friends in today's world, I'd say that you're plain wrong, and I might even go so far as to say that these apps you're carrying around on your phone every single day are hurting you. Since 2010, the incidence of anxiety and depression in high school and college students has risen at an alarmingly fast rate from levels that were previously constant for decades. This just happens to coincide with the rise of smartphones. But I want to make the point of saying that this correlation between the two is definitely not causation. Finding the link of causation between the two is going to have to be left up to the experts. And it has. The 2018 study done by University of Pennsylvania professor Dr. Melissa G. Hunt shows exactly this. In this study, a large group was split into two subsets that use social media at differing rates. The first group had no boundaries on their usage. They were allowed to use social media as long as they wanted every day at their normal levels. But the second group was only allowed 30 minutes in a single day. In the end, the second group reported lower levels of loneliness, fear of missing out, and significantly lower levels of depression and anxiety. Whether the students of the second group had high or low levels of depression in the beginning of the study, they still came out with lower levels of depression at the end of the study. These effects that social media has on you are not only constrained to your mental health. This one may be a bit obvious, but the use of social media drastically decreases your ability to focus. On the one hand, you have a constant stream of notifications that bombard you with temptation at all hours of the day. When you get a notification, you're pretty likely to give it a quick glance and drop whatever it is you're doing at that very moment. Social media gets in the way of focusing a lot like an obstacle. On the other hand, you have what computer science professor Cal Newport likes to call fractured attention. This is the state that you enter when you're doing something and you're constantly being distracted. When this happens repeatedly and over time, it has the potential to permanently decrease your ability to focus. So what's the fix? That's exactly the question I hope to answer in the next section. If being on social media is harming your mental health and your focus, the obvious answer that we saw in the University of Pennsylvania study has two interpretations or two main schools of thought on it. The first school of thought states that only after deleting your entire social media presence will you be free from its effects. The second school of thought states that because we live in such a hyper-connected world, deleting all your social media accounts would dampen your human experience too much. So their answer is to severely cut back and limit your usage of social media. First up is quitting your social media. Quitting social media altogether can mean a couple of things. The first thing it means is fully deleting all of your accounts, and the second thing it means is just getting rid of the apps on your phone and logging out of your accounts on your desktop. No matter what you choose, this is something that needs to be done without looking back at it. Social media is meant to be as addicting as possible. Companies like Instagram and Facebook hire addiction engineers to make their platforms as addicting as they can be. Social media is meant to be as addicting as possible. So if you think about even downloading Instagram for 5 minutes on your break, it can quickly turn into 45 minutes of mindless scrolling and eventually weeks of having Instagram back on your phone before you come at another crossroads with yourself. Let's think about losing weight real quick. If you're going to try and shed a couple pounds off, you probably wouldn't want cookies and ice cream laying around your house. If you want to quit social media for good, you shouldn't rely on your willpower. Instead, you should get rid of any trace of social media in your life so you won't be tempted to go back. If you feel like quitting social media is a bit much and it's like jumping straight into the deep end, then you might want to consider significantly cutting back on your social media usage. It can introduce a lot of the same benefits to your life even if they aren't as great. If this is the case and you still want to cut back on how much you use social media, you don't want to rely on your willpower. The most productive thing you can do towards limiting how much you use social media is to implement systems that take willpower out of the equation. In the beginning, you need to actually understand how much time you're spending on these platforms and set a goal for your usage. From here, the first thing that you can do is to use apps like your screen time if you're on iOS, or an app called Freedom if you're on Android. Freedom also works if you want to do this on your desktop. This is only one of the systems that I have for reducing your reliance on your willpower when you're trying to cut back on your social media use. The second thing you can do, which is arguably the most powerful, is to turn off your notifications. These constant pings and swooshes can interrupt you at all moments of the day. When you get that message that one of your friends just commented on your post, it can be really easy to say that you're just going to go over and check it, and then turn into 45 minutes of you just scrolling. By turning notifications off, you're really taking the willpower out of the equation like I just talked about, and eliminating any human error. You're not going to have to force yourself to put your phone down because you just won't pick it up in the first place. The third system you can implement is to intermittently delete social media apps from your phone. At first, it feels like this tip doesn't really belong in this section, but when I say intermittently, I mean you can download these apps to your phone whenever you feel like it. The catch, though, is that you have to delete the app when you're done using it. This brings to the equation something I like to call friction. It's the force that pushes against you when you're trying to do something. And friction in this case really makes you question whether or not it's going to be worth your time to download these apps. So like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to sit here and make you think that I hate technology, but social media just isn't an essential technology, nor is it an actual technology of the 21st century. You don't need it for success, and you certainly don't need it to make friends. Not only does it hurt your ability to be successful in our world because you can't focus, but it also increases your chances of having depression and anxiety. The best way to keep yourself from being affected by social media is to just not use it. You can do this by deleting your accounts and not giving yourself access to the platforms. If that feels too extreme, the next best thing that you can do is to significantly reduce the time that you spend on these platforms every day. This is done by using your screen time app, turning off your notifications, and deleting the apps intermittently. If you choose a life free from social media, you're going to be happier and mentally healthier. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.